The bell and the wood thrush call us together in covenant, to awaken us from forgetfulness, that we may learn how to live in harmony and community. Today, let us especially remember our covenant to affirm and promote the sixth principle, the goal of world community, with peace, liberty, and justice for all. Good morning. Welcome to Community Unitarian Universalist Congregation in formerly Lenape Territory, White Plains, New York. I'm the Reverend Meredith Garmon, minister.
Good morning. I'm Tracy Brenneman, Community UU religious educator, coming to you from my home.
Good morning. I'm Adam Kent, CUUC music director, at my piano at home.
Welcome to this home of liberal religion, which affirms 5 commitments: learning, freedom, justice, institution building, and hope.
Learning. Revelation is continuous. Meaning has not been finally captured. Nothing is complete, and thus nothing is exempt from criticism.
Freedom. All relations must rest on free consent. Coercions may be subtle, so the work of removing them is ongoing.
Justice. We are morally obligated to direct our efforts toward the establishment of a just and loving community. Hence, the voices of prophets are indispensable.
Institution building. We cannot become whole without human institutions.
Hope. Progress is not inevitable, but it is possible.
It's the Sunday at the end of the 6th full week of spring. Daylight today is up to 14 hours and 3 minutes. The waning gibbous moon was full on Monday night. It was the pink moon, named for the pink phlox blossoms.
Ramadan Mubarak. The month-long Islamic holiday Ramadan continues until May 12th.
Solar Beltane, the precise midpoint between the vernal equinox and the summer solstice, will occur on Wednesday, May 5th at 2:34 p.m. Eastern. Wednesday is also Cinco de Mayo, commemorating an 1862 victory of the Mexican army over the French. That defeat prevented the French from assisting the Confederacy in the U.S. Civil War, which made Union victory possible. So it's appropriate that Cinco de Mayo is more popular in the U.S. than in Mexico as a celebration of Mexican-American culture and a time for grateful recognition of our country's interdependence with our southern neighbor.
And a special welcome to our visitors. If you're a first-time visitor, we invite you to introduce yourself in the chat. You'll find a link to the order of service on our website at CUUC.wp.org. There you will also find other resources to help keep us connected during this time and a donate button. For May, our Share the Plate funds support Hope Meals. We're able to take contributions via the donate button for your pledge, the plate share, and for the minister's discretionary fund.
And now Board Chair Joe Majak has some news and then will lead us in lighting our chalices.
Hi, I'm Joe Majak. As the chair of the board of this congregation, I welcome you. Did you know that CUUC will conduct a series of small group discussions about the UUA Common Read for 2020-21? It is Breathe, a letter to my sons. The author is Imani Perry. I just got finished reading it. It is a remarkable book. Reverend Garmon, in his April 19th email to the congregation, asked that we buy or borrow this beautiful text and commit to reading it in the next month. Finally, Meredith asked that we sign up for a small group to spend 90 minutes together engaging with the book. Here are the 5 available groups. Thursday, May 20th at 7:30 p.m., facilitated by Adine Usher and Jeff Tomlinson. Friday, May 21st at 11 a.m., facilitated by Tracy Brenneman and Eddie Freed. Saturday, May 22nd at 3 p.m., facilitated by Amy Nathan and Meredith Garmon. Sunday, May 23rd at noon, facilitated by Eddie Freed and Tracy Brenneman. And lastly, Monday, May 24th at 7:30 p.m., facilitated by Kevin McGarren Clements. Please select which of these you'd like to be a part of and email our administrator, Pam Parker, to indicate your interest. She'll get back to you with confirmation and then the Zoom link info for your Common Read group meeting. And now it's time to light our chalice. On the sixth Sunday of the season, we dedicate our chalice to the sixth principle of our faith, the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. Please join with me in the chalice lighting words from Dag Hammarskjöld. Each morning, we must hold out the chalice of our being to receive, to carry, and to give back.
John Biddle could go to the mat against anyone when it came to debating Christian doctrine. But what he really cared about was living a good life and being a good person. Unitarians throughout our history could argue about the Trinity at great length, and we did, but our driving passion, the flame that burned in the chalice of our hearts, was for a religion that supported us in being good and doing good. John Calvin's doctrine, total depravity, said every person is born enslaved to sin, depraved by nature, entirely unable to choose by themselves to follow God or refrain from evil. We cannot save ourselves, said Calvin, but God decides by grace to save some of us, though none of us deserve it. Thus, Calvin was led to his doctrine of predestination. God made some people wicked and some people saints, and no one could do anything about it. You can't make yourself good. Only God can do that. And God decided before you were born whether or not you would be one of the good ones. For us Unitarians, that has never made sense. We are not depraved by nature. Instead, all of us have inherent worth and dignity. And together, we can help each other flourish and choose to be kind. That's what we're all about today, and it's what we've been all about from our beginnings. Despite all his written discourses concerning the doctrine of the Trinity and the deity of Jesus, Biddle's real concern had been for a moral and holy life. Perhaps it was this concern for piety that explains the obvious hold he had over his faithful followers. It may also explain why, with Biddle removed from the scene, his followers soon dispersed, leaving no permanent institutional legacy.
Scattered throughout this morning's musical selections are a set of 6 short pieces by Federico Monpeau called Charme, or Spells. They are to put suffering to rest, to penetrate souls, to heal, to evoke the spirit of the past, to summon joy, and this one to inspire love.
If you have a joy, sorrow, or milestone that you'd like to share, I invite you to enter it into the chat now, starting at 10:14. As you do so, please make the first word be either joy, sorrow, or milestone, so that as Tracy scans through the chat stream during the prayer, she can easily identify which messages are meant for her to say out loud. And that part will not be included when this service is posted later on YouTube. Now, the spoken invocation, and then sing along with the sung invocation. Words of invocation from Arab-American poet Naomi Shihab Nye. Kindness. Before you know what kindness really is, you must lose things. Feel the future dissolve in a moment like salt in a weakened broth. What you held in your hand, what you counted and carefully saved, all this must go, so you know how desolate the landscape can be between the regions of kindness. How you ride and ride thinking the bus will never stop. The passengers eating maize and chicken will stare out of the window forever. Before you learn the tender gravity of kindness, you must travel where the Indian in a white poncho lies dead by the side of the road. You must see how this could be you, how he too was someone who journeyed through the night with plans and the simple breath that kept him alive. Before you know kindness as the deepest thing inside, you must know sorrow as the other deepest thing. You must wake up with sorrow. You must speak to it till your voice catches the thread of all sorrows and you see the size of the cloth. Then it is only kindness that makes sense anymore. Only kindness that ties your shoes and sends you out into the day to gaze at bread. Only kindness that raises its head from the crowd of the world to say, "It is I you have been looking for," and then goes with you everywhere, like a shadow or a friend. Now let us affirm together the aspiration from Spirit of Truth. I invite you to sing along with Kim and Georgiana.
Spirit of truth, that dwellest in the mountain, descend, we pray thee, to the marts of earth. Give us to hear the rustle of thy garment. Grant us to feel thy shadow near. So may we find the strength to stand face forward, courage to walk toward the dawning day.
The mission of Community Unitarian Universalist Congregation is the covenant of this congregation. Would all the members and visitors who would like to affirm it along with me? We covenant to nurture each other in our spiritual journeys, foster compassion and understanding within and beyond our community, and engage in service to transform ourselves and our world. And now we'll hear from our choir.
Tis you that are the music, tis you, not your song. The song is but a door which opening wide lets forth the pent-up melody, the melody
anniversary from Hope Kitchen. This month, half of the proceeds from this month's plate share go to continuing to support the project we're doing for Hope Kitchen. Thank you so much for your continued support.
Good morning. My name is Julie Gans. I'm the new head of the Caring and Sharing Committee, and I would like to give you a quick overview of the role our committee plays within our congregation. Working closely with our minister, Meredith Garmon, we send out get well cards and sympathy cards for congregants. We deliver meals to homebound congregants. We offer transportation for congregants to medical appointments and Sunday services when being held. We provide childcare when there is a medical emergency. We prepare and deliver holiday baskets to congregants shut in, and we assist at memorial services. These services are all performed by volunteers within our congregation. If you need any of the services I mentioned, please speak with Meredith, Pam Parker, or myself. We are here to help you. Conversely, if you are interested in volunteering, please contact me by phone or email. My contact details can be found in our directory. Before I close, I want to take a moment to thank Astrid Rogers, who chaired this important committee for 10 years. She's devoted many, many hours to caring and sharing and has been an inspiration for our congregation. Astrid, you did an amazing job. We really appreciate all you have done. Thank you very much.
I'd like you now to rise in body or spirit for hymn number 1064 in your teal hymnal. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on. Well, that was just like a little hymn leader joke in the beginning there. You didn't really have to stand up if you didn't want to. But I wanted to sing those two lines because Blue Boat Home is my favorite hymn, and I love singing it with you all. And those two lines distill for me why I feel so connected and drawn to the community at CUUC. I give thanks to those waves upholding me, being a part of this community, being held up and supported and welcomed and loved. And those great winds urging me on, our shared faith, challenging me, encouraging me, prompting me to do good, strong things as best I can. Those are the things that mean so very much to me about supporting our congregation. My name is Kim Force, and my husband Christian, and my two boys Tycho and Duncan, and I have all been part of this congregation since 2014. And I have so many warm and strong and beautiful feelings about the amazing music offerings in our congregation, but I wanted to talk just for a moment this morning about how music and our choir has helped me and many others feel so connected in this crazy past year of pandemic and quarantine and lockdown. Each week we've had the opportunity to connect online, and we sing together, individually but together, and we put these videos together to put out into the world, to share with others, to share with you, to make part of our worship service on Sunday. And I asked my other friend musicians that I sing with and that I play with what they thought and why was music important to them? How does it make them feel connected? One said, being a part of the choir gives my soul a chance to open and focus, creating the art we share. And many others echoed that sentiment, the idea of coming together to make something bigger than ourselves, to be a part of something big and important and beautiful. And more specifically, some had comments about how they felt connected in quarantine. You know, learning how to rehearse and perform using all this tech was, you cannot possibly imagine how beneficial to my lockdown disorientation. One said, the CUUC virtual choir has been a highlight of this pandemic year. Singing together with other folks was a treasured part of my life, and singing in our virtual choir has allowed us still to have this in our lives. And finally, and I think very beautifully and profoundly, in a time when so many bonds have been broken, virtual music has allowed us to forge new bonds in a way nothing else can. It's important to me and to my family to be a part of this community, and to support this community with our annual pledge because of these connections. And though I talk about the choir, there's so many beautiful, wonderful offerings that this congregation has to create those connections, to feel attached to one another. And that is a wonderful thing. So if you'll indulge me, I'll say one more thing. Drifting here with my ship's companions, that's you. All we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat home. Thank you for supporting CUUC.
Let us enter a time of prayer. Spirit of love and light, healing guide, we bring our whole selves to this space, and here we find comfort. Here we find support. Here we find community. The sounds of singing birds ring like spring songs and form a melody with the life that is bustling and bursting around us. Life that is familiar and reliable, and in our hands to heal and protect. We embrace these reminders of our coexistence and interdependence as we endeavor to live up to them. And as the earth speaks to us of healing, we witness the pain of her inhabitants. Our hearts and prayers are with the people of India, where COVID-19 is ravaging the country, and we see global cases have reached a terrifying new peak, with 5.2 million new cases just last week, the most in a single week since the pandemic began. Globally, we are now past 3 million lives lost. And with the Orthodox Jewish community, after 45 people were killed and some 150 more injured during a stampede at the religious festival of Lag BaOmer in northern Israel, including several people from New York. And we hold the family of Ahmaud Arbery in our hearts and prayers as indictments were handed down for the men who killed Ahmaud, and the family, we all get ready to face the upcoming trials. These resonate at the depths of pain. And there, in that pain, we find the caregivers, the listeners, the witnesses, the companions, those who are steadfast in the work of justice making, those whose embrace is wide, whose touch invites healing, whose presence shows us that we are not alone. And they remind us of our capacity to be gentle with ourselves. Today, we lift up the healing gifts offered by residents of a Palestinian Arab town near where members of the Jewish community were evacuating the pilgrimage site, who, despite the Muslim fast for Ramadan, set up food and drink for those evacuating. Tripetta Mason, poet laureate of Philadelphia, whose healing verse hotline features affirming and healing poems written by Philadelphia's poets. She notes that in the midst of a pandemic, a presidential election, and a racial reckoning, healing verse offers a glimmer of hope because all those things impact us spiritually, mentally, and now more than ever, we need space to process. And we name the blessing of this community that answers calls for support in abundance and affirms our enduring care for each other. The inaugural poem of the Healing Verse Hotline is titled "In This Season" by Tripetta Mason. In that poem and others, she offers these words. In this season of shifting, of barrier breaking, undoing, unearthing, uprising, leveling, you, beloved, may think yourself too small, but what a world you are. What a sphere of shocking beauty and grace. My soul sits back in wonder. Someone is going to ask if we're going to be all right, and we will tell them only if we believe it. Another will ask if we're going to get through this, and we will tell them we have to want it bad enough to see it. I know now that we are builders, designers, architects of our lives. We can draft an existence one day, and when it's upended, erase, maintain the foundation, and start over the next. Each day, another chance to practice being human. May it be so. For all that has been shared, and for all that we carry in our hearts, we observe a moment of silence.
Calling on you, hungry hearts, everywhere through endless time. You who wander, you who thirst, I offer you this heart of mine. Calling on you, hungry spirits, all the lost and the left behind. All I can, I'll share with you, your joy and your sorrow, I make it mine.
Two more of Mompo's spells for healing and to evoke the image of the past.
take refuge. The largest space in our congregation building is called the sanctuary. It's a refuge. We also need everyday refuges from challenges, sorrows, or sheer craziness of the world. Refuge is where you get refueled when you're depleted. A refuge might be a person, a place, a memory, an idea, whatever reliably reassures and supports you so you can let down your guard and gather strength and wisdom. That's your refuge. Curling up in bed with a good book, a meal with friends, remembering your grandmother, feeling strength in your body, trusting the findings of science, a favorite poem or wisdom text. First, what gives you a sense of refuge? Make a written list of a few things that are refuges for you. Second, you can take refuge by going to a refuge, coming from a refuge, or consciously abiding as a refuge. So fill in each of these three blanks. I take refuge in blank. I abide as blank. Blank flows through me. Third, take a moment each day to consciously take refuge in the ways you've identified. For more about the practice of taking refuge, see the post at cucmatters.org. The link is in your eCommunitarian.
I invite you now to join the First Unitarian Church of Baltimore singing our hymn number 1002, Comfort Me.
Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Speak for me, speak for me, speak for me, oh my soul. Speak for me, speak for me, speak for me, oh my soul. Dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, oh my soul. Dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul.
Healing is our theme for May. The Journey Group packet is now out. The link is in our emailed newsletter, and under Journey Groups at cucmatters.org. Please give that a read. You'll have a chance to explore it with your Journey Group later this month. Healing. Well, you may ask, what is the wound? Let's start today with an obvious literal physical injury. If you happen not to have one right now, then let me ask you to remember one for a minute. A literal physical wound, a scraped knee, perhaps, or a broken bone. And it got better. The cells of your body knew what to do. You probably helped them in their work. You washed the scrape so as to give your cells an easier time of it as they went about the work of repair. Or you went to a doctor to have the bones set properly and appropriately immobilized so the bone cells could grow back together in peace. You helped out, and your body took it from there. You got the award for actor in a supporting role. Your body takes the award for leading actor. And the show was a hit with critics and audiences alike. Healing happened. It was the sequel to The Wounding, which had opened to much more mixed reviews. The critics had appreciated its dramatic tension, but audiences didn't like The Wounding. Then there were more sequels, a continuous flow of sequels, like a series perpetually renewed. The healing never stops. At first, you thought that what you were healing from was simply some mishap that shouldn't have happened, but it did, and you just wanted to get back to what? Back to normal? Well, it turns out normal isn't what you're here for. Some people say God has a plan for you. I might go with that as a kind of metaphor. Some people say you make your own meaning and plan, but really that could only be another metaphor, maybe actually the same metaphor. If it's your own idea, okay, but where did it come from? You didn't have the idea before you had it. Even a unique idea is composed of parts that came from somewhere and fit themselves together in a unique way. Where your purpose came from is a mystery. It's as mysterious as where the universe came from, where the Big Bang came from. You can name that mystery God if you like, and then you have a name for it. You haven't solved it or clarified it or reduced its mysteriousness in any way. You've only named it. Though with that particular name, you've associated the purpose of your existence with the creative force of the universe itself, with creativity, and that might be helpful. Wherever your purpose came from, I'm pretty sure you have one. And getting back to normal isn't it. You are here to love, to give what you are, and to grow. Like all living things, like amoebas, grass, salamanders, cats, fungus, daffodils, octopuses, wood thrushes, slime mold, larch trees, beagles, yellow-naped Amazon parrots, like all that is alive, you and I are here to grow, to change, to transform. For humans, and the more social animals at least, growth doesn't happen without wounding. We don't grow into wisdom without some pain. As we heard earlier from Naomi Shihab Nye, before you know kindness as the deepest thing inside, you must also know sorrow as the other deepest thing. There's a piece in your Journey Group materials this month by Thomas Agnew from a study he did interviewing doctors about what they learned about healing from their careers as healers. They spoke of wholeness, making whole again, or becoming whole again, or finding wholeness. It's not getting back to normal, but finding one's personhood within a new normal. Illness, one doctor said, denies most conceptions of what it means to be yourself, because you can't do the things you used to do. You might or might not get better. Healing doesn't always mean being cured or fixed. It doesn't mean finding wholeness. It does mean finding wholeness in your situation. The doctors also spoke of narrative, the patient's history about themselves, about their disease. Healing involves a reinterpretation, a redrafting of the life narrative. The narrative, most fundamentally, is about relationships. Patient with other patients, with family, with medical providers. Finding yourself, your wholeness, is always finding your place within a web of relationships. One doctor said, to be whole is to be whole in the presence of others. You are the author of your life narrative, but it takes a whole network of co-authors working it out with you, editing your drafts. Healing entails a narrative of healing. And thus healing is a matter not simply of the body, but of the spirit. What one doctor describes as the ineffable quality that we have that propels us forward, and another characterized as harmony that exists when what you know and what you say and what you feel are in balance. Healing isn't getting back to, it's transformation. The healing cocoon doesn't get you back to being the caterpillar you were, but makes you into a butterfly, and then makes the butterfly into the next thing, and then the next thing. One doctor said, almost universally, illness awakened them to a meaning of what's important in life. Disease and injury is a suffering. And the suffering is not simply the body's pain, discomfort, dis-ease. Rather, the crux of the matter is no longer being the person you thought of yourself as, the forced rewriting of your narrative. As Agnew writes, not being the persons they have known themselves to be, they suffer. Healing, then, is the transcendence of suffering. Not the end of suffering, but the transcending of it, the understanding of it within a new context of meaning, a new narrative, a new harmony, a new wholeness. In that light, let's take a moment now to take in some of Robert Schumann's new harmony. Adam?
The image of the butterfly as a metaphor for transformation was especially important to the composer Robert Schumann. Schumann, who suffered from mental illness throughout much of his adult life and often sought solace and healing in music. Here's one of his works.
To get to healing, to the transcendence of suffering, requires moving beyond blaming. The impulse to blame can be strong even in those who successfully resist that impulse. It comes from the old self trying to hold on to itself, like a caterpillar trying to stay a caterpillar. If blame can be fixed, I don't have to change. When social change is afoot, there's anxiety, which may produce a witch hunt to find someone or something to blame. In the 1975 film, Monty Python and the Holy Grail, there's a scene of a literal witch hunt. A mob wants to burn some poor woman that they accuse of being a witch. Now, we don't literally burn people anymore, and when we did, it was a community's dysfunctional way of coping with its anxiety that somehow their lives weren't going as they thought they should. In the movie, the mob comes before the local knight. "We've found a witch. May we burn her?" And the knight says, "What makes you think she's a witch?" And one member of the crowd says, "Well, she turned me into a newt." And the knight stares at the man, incredulous. "A newt?" The man shuffles sheepishly and says, "I got better." In the midst of change, it probably doesn't feel like you are becoming a beautiful, glorious butterfly. Maybe it feels like you've somehow been made into a newt, into something unpleasant. Actually, a sleek and perhaps colorful amphibian might be a better bet than an insect butterfly, but the point, of course, is that it's a metaphor for something you don't want to be. You want to get better, as in get back to normal, back to the story of your life that you have been accustomed to telling yourself, a story that cannot be maintained in the face of this newtish thing it feels like you've become. You might have some anger in the process and want to burn whatever witch it was that made this happen to you. If we can blame someone, we can get to hold on to our old story of ourselves a little longer. If we can blame China for the coronavirus, we can delay coming to terms with what this really means and has meant. If this is all the fault of Asians, we don't have to wear masks or social distance, just punish anyone who happens to be Asian. More broadly, we don't have to change the way we live. We don't have to stop degrading the environment or take any note of the connection between the planet's loss of species diversity that's directly connected to pandemic outbreaks. Last October, a UNESCO report established the links between biodiversity loss and the increase in pandemic risk factors. The report warns that future pandemics will emerge more often, spread more rapidly, do more damage to the world economy, and kill more people than COVID-19 unless there is a transformative change in the global approach to dealing with infectious diseases from reaction to prevention. We must transform the way we live on Earth together with other species of the living world and establish a new pact. Healing is about transformation, not getting back to what you were, but becoming something new. It's not about solving a problem, but becoming new in response to a new reality. We think the point is to pass the test or overcome the problem, as Pema Chodron writes. But the truth is that things don't really get solved. They come together and they fall apart. Then they come together again and fall apart again. It's just like that. The healing comes from letting there be room for all of this to happen. Room for grief, for relief, for misery, for joy. Earlier this morning, we heard Kim, Lisa, Georgiana, and Terry beautifully sing Cynthia Gray's adaptation of a sonnet by Amy Lowell titled Listening, published in 1912. 'Tis you that are the music, not your song. The song is but a door which, opening wide, lets forth the pent-up melody inside. Your spirit's harmony, which, clear and strong, sing but of you throughout your whole life long. Your songs, your thoughts, your doings, each divide this perfect beauty, waves within a tide, or single notes amid a glorious throng. The song of earth has many different chords. Ocean has many moods and many tones, yet always ocean. In the damp spring woods, the painted trillium smiles, while crisp pine cones autumn alone can ripen. So is this one music with 1,000 cadences. You are the music. You may have been thinking it was your song, your thoughts, your doings, and then one day you get sick or seriously injured, or your life in any of 1,000 ways becomes broken. Loss of a partner, loss of a job, loss of a home. It always appears first as loss. That old song just won't sing anymore. It would be flippant of me to say, well, sing a new one. It's not that easy. Even if you know and believe everything I've been saying today, even if you understand that your task at such a time is to learn a new song, it's going to take a while. And it's not going to be fun. Perhaps it will be your swan song as you enter into the last loss, the loss of your own life. If it seems easy, it isn't genuine, isn't real transformation. There's no transcendence of suffering without the suffering. Amy Lowell titled her poem, Listening, because we don't so much write our new song as listen. Listen for the song that finds itself emerging within us and around us. The song that announces our place, our new place. Healing is no picnic, dear friends, but it is worth it. May it be so. Amen.
I invite you now to join the Unitarian Church of Baton Rouge, singing our hymn number 18, What Wondrous Love.
What wondrous love is this, oh my soul, oh my soul. What wondrous love is this, oh my soul. What wondrous love is this that brings my heart to twist and takes away the pain of my soul, and takes
Be safe, be well. And now please join Joe Majak for our chalice extinguishing words as you extinguish your chalice at home.
Please say with me these words as we extinguish our chalices. This beacon of peace, this torch of liberty, this fire of justice, we will take with us in our hearts, that it may light the world community for every child of this earth.
Since the 2nd century, the Rabbi Tarfon has enjoined.
Do not be daunted by the enormity of the world's grief.
Do justly now.
Love mercy now.
Walk humbly now.
You are not obligated to complete the work.
Neither are you free to abandon it.
Go in peace.
Go in peace.
Go in peace.
If you've got troubles, then I've got them too. There isn't anything I wouldn't do for you. If we stick together, we can see it through. 'Cause you've got a friend in me. Yeah, you've got a friend in me. Now some other folks might be a little smarter than I am. Maybe, but none of them will ever love you the way I do. Just me and you, boy. And as the years go by, our friendship will never die. You're gonna see it's our destiny. You've got a friend in me. You've got a friend in me.
Spell to summon joy.